Bike rules and bike course. The three main aspects of the rules in relation to the bike are drafting, passing illegally and blocking. In short, drafting occurs when a competitor intentionally positions themselves behind a forward competitor to take advantage of the slipstream effect. An illegal pass occurs when a competitor intentionally passes another competitor or the inside or the left-hand side. Blocking is where a competitor impedes the forward progress of another competitor. For more detail, have a look at this video.
Triathlon has a number of rules that relate to the cycle leg. It is every triathlete's responsibility to know and understand these rules. One of the fundamentals of riding in triathlon is that you must ride to the far left of the road and only pass on the right. It is an offence and regarded as unsafe to pass on the inside or left of another competitor. Drafting or slipstreaming behind another competitor is seen as gaining an unfair advantage and therefore not allowed. Unless passing or being passed by another rider, you must stay out of the draft zone. The draft zone extends from the front wheel of the leading bike to the front wheel of the trailing bike. The length of the draft zone depends on the cycle leg distance. If the cycle course is 40 kilometres or less, the draft zone is a distance of 10 metres. To help visualise this, the gap is about 5 bike lengths, or the size of 1.5 Commodore or Falcon cars. For a cycle course above 40 kilometres, the draft zone distance increases to 12 metres. This equates to a gap of approximately 6 bike lengths. It is your responsibility to pass within the time relevant to your draft zone distance. This passing time starts as soon as you enter the drafting zone and ends when your front wheel passes your competitor's front wheel. Once this plane has been crossed, the passing cyclist must continue on to make it a firm pass, and the passed cyclist must now drop out of the newly formed draft zone. If you have multiple riders that you wish to pass, you must pass each rider and clear every drafting zone that you enter into. Only attempt long passes if you think you have the strength to pass every rider. What you must not do is tuck in behind another rider who has just passed you, make a long drawn out pass for longer than the time allowed, or ride out at an angle from the competitor you are trailing. This is regarded as blocking. Blocking is a rule that works hand in hand with the drafting rule. It is to prevent the circumstances that can lead to the formation of packs of cyclists. An athlete will be considered to be blocking if they fail to keep left and could impede the progress of another competitor. The key to avoid blocking is to not ride beside another competitor unless you are overtaking. Once overtaking is complete, move back to the left. Remember, faster cyclists need room to pass without being blocked. Other things to avoid on the cycle course include speeding up to stop a fellow competitor from passing you, or making a pass then slowing down. Remember, if you do find yourself in a drafting or blocking situation, it's up to you to remove yourself from that situation. If you do receive a penalty from a technical official, please listen carefully, accept calmly, and follow all of their instructions. So remember, to keep our sport safe and fair for everyone, keep left, make your passes within the allowed time, continue your momentum after passing, drop out of the draft zone on being passed, and never pass on the left.
There are a few other things you can keep in mind when evaluating whether or not to give a drafting penalty. For example, you can allow a limited amount of drafting if athletes are approaching an acute turn. If, for example, safety reasons, or if the athlete is in the process of legally passing a forward competitor. The key thing with drafting is to look for intent, control and manage the field, make sure the athletes know you're there, and really only hand out penalties where you feel that there's a deliberate intent to draft. The length of the draft zone and the time allowed to pass through it are determined by the distance of the bike course. However, the technical delegate, who is the official in charge of the race, can make alterations to the drafting rules, which must be communicated to the athletes in advance of the race. A drafting infringement is a judgment call by a technical official, and it attracts a blue card time penalty. The official will generally come up to you on the bike, try and get your attention to let you know you have a penalty, show the blue card, at which point it's your responsibility to go to the penalty box. If you look at the diagram below, C is within the draft zone of B and will be guilty of drafting if he or she does not complete the pass within the allowed time. As B is outside the draft zone of A, they can remain so in that relative position without penalty. Drafting penalties vary depending on the distance. For long distance, it's 5 minutes, middle distance, 5 minutes, standard distance, 2 minutes, and sprint distance, 1 minute. And again, blocking. Blocking is where a competitor impedes the forward progress of another competitor. So even though you might feel you're outside the draft zone by going to the outside of the athlete whom you're passing on your left, you can of course be accused of blocking if you hold that position. This can tend to happen when you're racing on roads that are quite wide. In this case, a referee or technical official can give you a yellow stop-start penalty. In this case, they may ask you to stop on your bike and then start after a few seconds. Draft legal. The ETU and the ITU brought in draft legal a number of years for age group races. This was brought in 2016 for the sprint distance. The Super Series in Ireland, Cat 1 athletes compete in 4 draft legal events since 2015. It allows competitors to ride together with no drafting zones. Draft legal events now in Ireland qualify for age group events.